Which we will get to in just a moment. But I want to hear from you why I Play Clean is important to you, and why the effort to have student athletes not just avoid steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs, but why clean athletics is important to you.
Well, it started back about 8 or 10 years ago. I was doing a reality show at a high school, and steroids came up amongst some of the guys on the team, and I'm like, I wasn't that knowledgeable or anything about steroids, but I think they weren't good. And I'm like, wow, high school kids talking about this. So a little later, I was being with this cardiologist. I was going to a physical and everything else. We were talking about this young kid from Plano, Texas, by the name of Dick Gruden. And he was a sophomore high school pitcher, and after the season, the coach tells him, he says, look, if you want to continue on and make it to the pros, you got to get bigger, stronger, and faster, man. You got to do something, but he doesn't tell him how. And so he's talking to some teammates, and that's how usually it happens. So they get started on steroids. And all of a sudden, Don Hooten, the father, is noticing these changes. This kind of a docile kid all of a sudden is flying off the handle, and that's one of the traits, is avoid rage. He's getting all the pimples and everything, and he keeps, he's in denial. And finally, I guess Don found some paraphernalia in the room or whatever after bringing him to a psychiatrist. And then he finally admitted that he was on steroids. And Don didn't know how to handle it, and he just said, well, you're going to get off this stuff, and you're not going to the junior prom for your punishment. Whatever. So that Friday night, Don comes home from work, and he asks his wife, did you see Taylor? And she says, well, yeah, he came downstairs about a couple hours ago. He said, he loved us, and he's sorry, and he won't do that again. And so I imagine he's upstairs, so he goes up and knocks on the kid's door, and there was no answer. So he opens the door, and there's the kid hanging, committed suicide. So we heard about that. And Don, of course, has started a foundation also. But we just, right about that time, we had taken over the Butkus Award from this group down in Florida. And so my son Matt came up with the I Play Clean, why don't we come out with a Linebacker Award for high school kids and pro, and we could use that as a vehicle to get our message across. Because those figures of the 400,000 kids that admit taking steroids from surveys, that's been holding true for the last 2 or 3 years. There's one university that even claims it's more like 1 million. Now, you might not think that's many kids, but it is. And, football has been very good to me, and I don't want to see the game go in the toilet. And by that, I mean having kids, players in the pros. Like I say, in the pros, they're 3 times 7. I want the high school kids to learn from the get-go that you don't need it. First of all, to me, if you're a real athlete, it's a form of cheating. So anybody that's on my team and I know they're on steroids, you're a damn cheater. Why? Second of all, they're illegal. Third of all, they're detrimental to your health. And I don't care who says they're not and everything else. We've got excellent doctors that, swear by it. So, in fact, my cardiologist took a study of 40, they were weightlifters, power lifters. I think one of them maybe even was a former Mr. Universe. Test them with the EBCT scan of their arteries, and their arteries showed that they were enough plaque in there of someone 30 years older than them. And that's what he said, Dick, kids taking this stuff at adolescent age, it's a health danger. So, okay, Sonny, you're invincible, you want to take steroids and pump up and this and that, and then die of a heart attack at 30? Is that what you want?